Picture for a moment a scene in the future. I don't want to pretend to be Nostradamus, but here I am gazing into my cup of tea. It's not exactly a bowl of water, but it's tea. And what do I see? 2027, the Conservatives have been reduced to a rump. A rump. They've been made, someone's made an arse of them. They've been reduced to a rump of 44 MPs. A hastily elevated leader, Katie Lamb, barely known today, walks on stage beside Nigel Farage, the new Prime Minister in waiting. She pledges to take the reform whip so the right can govern. In exchange, she gets the deputy premiership and a few token cabinet jobs. Once that would have sounded like dystopian fan fiction. Today, even senior Tory pollsters call it plausible. Of course, it isn't the only way this could work out, because by the time that the Conservatives have been reduced to their rump, the Lib Dems will be His Majesty's loyal opposition. Badenoch inherited a wreck, but then she doubled the damage. The broken back and the broken promises of the previous years, post-Brexit, take back control, borders thrown open, hospitals never built, NHS collapse, inflation, misery, the sleaze, Johnson fined over parties, MPs mired in scandal, Truss's mini-budget tanking markets, the policy void, levelling up abandoned, small towns ignored, only rhetoric left. Public First polling now shows over half of voters say they will never consider the Conservatives again, or among ex-Tory voters 27% say never again. Well, never again is always revisable. Just think of Sean Connery. But Badenoch has made two big mistakes. New leaders get a short window to define themselves. She missed it. Now voters feel they know her and yawn at her big set-piece speeches because there's nothing in it. It's a void. It's a void. It's an absence. And somebody wants to fill that absence, and I think that's Nigel Farage. There's no real policy. When she fiddled, Farage seized immigration, crime and justice, reform declared, quit the ECHR, scrap the Refugee Convention, stop the boats. Credible or not, it sounded like action, and the Tories have answered with vagueness. And then Badenoch publicly slaps down Priti Patel for defending the record that voters already hated. The result is that Farage polls higher than Badenoch on being strong, competent, honest, intelligent, charismatic and decisive. And of course they're wrong. But it looks understandable, doesn't it? It is understandable. The ECHR trap, slogans over statecraft. Now Badenoch's party is making leave the ECHR a litmus test for candidates. It is a symbol of intellectual exhaustion. The ECHR was a British invention, Churchill's shield against Stalinism and fascism. It underpins the Good Friday Agreement and post-Brexit trade deals. Leaving will not magically make planes of failed asylum seekers take off. That depends on deals with Afghanistan, Sudan, Syria and others. Those governments simply refuse returnees. And meanwhile the same Tories slash aid and soft power that would help secure such returns. Reducing a knotted diplomatic, legal and security issue to ditch Strasbourg is theatre, not policy. And Farage's attraction is not ideological subtlety but clarity and style. Copying his slogans just brands the Tories as second-rate imitators. You can't out-Farage Farage. Out-Faraging Farage fails. How many F's can we get into that one? I'm sure you can think of a few more F's to throw in yourself. Voters have seen their promises fail. Shouting louder won't restore trust. Reform itself is vulnerable, thin on talent, heavy on ideology, but it will only implode if confronted by a credible, competent, detail-driven alternative. Not a tribute act. What a serious Conservative revival would require is somebody who can stand up and speak for ordinary provincial England, small businesses, drivers, technical colleges, simple local healthcare. Actually, somebody who can stand up and speak for ordinary provincial England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Somebody who can rebuild trust through delivery, not hashtags. Somebody who can present concrete migration and crime policy that survives scrutiny and international law. Somebody who can drop the obsession with rich-poor extremes and stop treating the mass of ordinary people as invisible. That would demand patient statecraft and honesty about trade-offs. It would also mean leaders who are new faces, clean of the last decade's baggage. Badenoch chose performance. The Telegraph, once a natural Tory cheerleader, now warns that this strategy is suicidal. If the Conservatives persist in trying to out-Farage, they will merely speed their absorption into reform or extinction as a serious party of government. It is extraordinary that as the Conservative Party draws to a close, the Conservative newspaper, the Daily Telegraph, is talking about the end of the Tories. Openly. Britain needs a responsible centre-right that governs, not one that competes for the loudest populist slogan. Unless the Tories rediscover that discipline, which I think means ditching Badenoch and that right-wing lurch, the June 2027 nightmare will not be fantasy at all. It will be reality.